You are listening to a Dynamic Works Productions podcast. This show is available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio Network, and many, many more podcast services around the world. You can find all our content, music, videos, books, podcasts, and more on our website, www.dynamicworksproductions.com. Have questions, comments, or concerns for us? Head on over to the social tab on www.dynamicworksproductions.com if you'd like to talk to us. Now, on with the show. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the first episode of 2022. And apologies in advance if I cough or don't sound 100% because I am recovering from the fucking plague.
Plague or just a plague?
A plague.
Okay.
Theorized to be whatever this flu A thing is that's been going around. Not COVID, because the PCR tests came back negative for both me and my wife. But we've been sick a full week, which is insane.
So you got the flu, eh?
Jesus Christ, I wish that wasn't your first joke of 2022. So much. It just hits different when you're half Canadian. You know? But yeah, no, it's nasty. Like, we had all the symptoms. Well, it's so funny. Like, I was thinking for the zero prep that I did for today's podcast, because I've literally been sick until yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I feel like a mandate going into the 2022 should just be like, let's just fucking, I'm so done talking about COVID. We're not fucking talking about COVID. Never again, unless something bad happens. And sure enough, it's like, oh, fuck. Jessica gets sick, and then she's like, this is the worst I've ever felt. I'm afraid it might be COVID, because I had a coworker who was sick and didn't tell anybody, and I was like, oh, what an asshole. And so we went down, and we both got tested, and I was fine at the time, but then by the time we got home, I was not feeling so good, and then the next day, just fever is up and down for 7 fucking days. Which is insane, but you know, whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but we're fine now. She's going back to work. I'm going back to work Monday, and you know, Happy New Year, I guess.
Yeah, we've got a whole new protocol set up at work, but we'll get into that. Let's introduce yourself here, you author, podcaster.
Oh yeah,
plague distribution vector, Tim K. Trotter.
Did I say my name? I don't even remember.
You did not.
Oh, well, it's me. It's me, folks. It's Tim.
And I am always, of course, well, as long as I don't catch the plague for some reason myself, the trusty co-host, Nate Fu.
Yeah, I'm trusty.
And welcome to 2020, the sequel.
Yeah, 2022, the sequel. Dun, dun, dun.
So there, that's my second joke. That one hits a little different, too.
Yeah, I bet. So how have you been? It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah. Let's see. When was the last? Did we talked right before Christmas or right before I went on vacation?
We talked right after Christmas, before New Year's.
Okay, so we hadn't been bullet time matrix dodging the plague as of the last time we spoke.
No, you had.
Okay.
Yeah, you told us all about that. And
it got worse.
Oh
Like
God.
if as though it couldn't, it got worse.
Did, did people
So,
get got by the vid?
oh, they're dropping all around me. It's almost amusing at this point.
Oh man.
Oh,
Did
but
you get got by the vid?
I have not gotten got yet.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
So yeah, just straight up moving like the machines do.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, not a lot. The only thing I can say really, other than the sick stuff that I just talked about and that it sucked, is I guess the upshot was I've spent 7 days cloistered in pseudo quarantine with my wife,
Hmm.
which has been interesting. It's funny. Our friends prodded us and were like, "Oh, did you guys like discover new quirks about each other, living with each other 24/7?" And we're like, "No, everything's the same with us. Like, there's no it didn't like rock the relationship boat, so to speak,
Right.
being cloistered for. But yeah, no, we did the thing. We wore masks anytime we were outside of 2 rooms in the house and wiped down the communal kitchen area and stuff because we were concerned that it was COVID and we didn't
Right.
want to get Brock COVIDed. Um,
Well,
so
that's a
yeah.
game we play basically every day in my house. Is it allergies or is it COVID?
Well, there you go.
So yeah, no, we understand that. It's like, uh-oh, one of us has an itchy throat. Is it COVID? I
Yeah.
walked out the front door and immediately sneezed. Is it COVID? My wife woke up with a headache today. Is it COVID?
Yeah. Well, it's
Well,
just alarming to us because Jessica hasn't been sick in like 3 years.
right.
Like
That's the
literally,
one
like
upside of
she never
of
gets
all the
sick.
social distancing, washing, and wearing masks was the regular flu was just like, fuck, I have nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's been a thing. Honestly, we were almost shocked that our test came back negative, because we had a number of the symptoms.
Yeah, same here.
You know, we did hear from a doctor friend of ours that the PCR tests are not 100% accurate.
Oh, and they're not even like they're what 70 and change effective.
Yeah, it wasn't a good statistic.
Right.
Um,
And then the rat tests or the rat tests. Here we go with the ATM machine and
uh,
PIN number. The rats are not even close to that standard, and that's what most employers are using now.
mm.
Rapid
Yeah.
antigen test for
Oh yeah,
those that,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's enough about COVID.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But I lived through whatever the fuck this flu A thing is. That's
Yeah.
honestly been the most brutal flu. Honestly, is the sickest I can ever remember, aside from right before COVID, which
Mm-hmm.
is as I said on the show before, probably when I actually had COVID for a brief spell in its infancy. Because that knocked me out for like a week or 10 days, and this knocked me out for like a week or 10 days, and it's just like Jesus.
Good bookends to the whole plague.
Yeah, I mean, they happened similar timings. So, you know, and as as the Reddit tinfoil hat people have said, you know, Sonic movie number 1 started COVID. Sonic
Mm-hmm.
movie 2 will end COVID. Coming in April.
Coming in April.
So,
One can hope.
we'll see. Couple of housekeeping notes. If you're an avid listener and are on our official Fork in Your Ear Discord, I cleaned fucking house in that
Yeah, it
Discord.
almost doesn't feel like my house anymore.
What do you think about the changes so far that have
I love
occurred?
everything but that IGN bot needs to shut its face.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad you isolated it to its own channel because that was just getting annoying as
Yeah, at
hell.
first I was like, okay, this is not bad. And then it was all the time. And I was
Right,
like, Jesus.
and even all the time isn't so bad if it was, video games. But no, it was like
Well, I mean, if
entertainment.
you know how to isolate the different topics,
Right.
You know,
I don't. But yeah, like it wouldn't have been bad if it was like, here's another video game article.
sure.
Like, okay, I go to the game channel and find a video game. No, I'm getting um what
I would.
video game, not video game, Black Panther news. I've got
Yeah, I wish
um
just you could set it up like an RSS feed.
sure,
But
Netflix raising
unfortunately you
prices
can't.
again.
Mm-hmm. Yep, $20
Like
premium
I
tier.
love the articles. I hate the frequency at which I've muted the IGN Twitter account for the same reason.
Mm,
Is
yeah,
man, the stories come hot and fast.
yeah. Well, it is a big site, so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I wish I had feeds. I wish like The Verge or Engadget or somebody had one just for tech.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a little more suitable to each channel. But you know, so it goes.
So it goes.
So how do we want to do this week? Because I originally started posting stuff in things, and then I got sick. Then we have a news feed to potentially scroll through. We want to spin the ring and try to stick to topics. What do you want to do?
Let's spin it and wing it like we usually do. It seems to
Okay.
work for us.
Here we go. All right. Well, that's landed on fire. So that's life stories.
That's life stories.
Which I feel like I opened up with already.
Yeah. Well, wait, but you didn't talk about the explosive you're finding in your clothes.
Oh shit! Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So when the new year started, and I was still fine, it had come to my attention that I didn't have a proper winter coat.
Did you get a Carhartt?
For like work? No, I didn't get a Carhartt. We got I got a Swiss Tech thing from Walmart. Little poofer jacket thing. But then for whatever reason, that wasn't good enough for my wife. So she was at Costco and found another poofer jacket that had a hood on it. And it was some designer brand that was like $20, as they are at Costco.
Right.
And put it on. It's like, oh yeah, this is definitely nicer than the Swiss Tech one, you know, whatever brand it is. And then I was feeling around in the pockets, and then I went, what the fuck? There are firecrackers. There are literal fire. There's like 5 firecrackers.
That's
like
hilarious.
Obscure, like gray, no markings of any kind firecrackers. And to wit, one would perhaps ask, how do you know for sure they're firecrackers, Tim? Because like an idiot, I went out in my driveway at midnight
and
lit them and threw them. Oh yeah, they're firecrackers.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, what was more hilarious was, for whatever reason, I think the wife of my neighbor was outside for some reason on the patio. I don't know, having a smoke. Who knows? And I just hear this, what the fuck, come from over the
Happy New Year.
over the fence. Exactly. And then I, scuttled inside.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just so weird. I was like, why would this even be in these pockets? Except for, whatever Chinese sweatshop it probably came from.
Or someone came in and tried them on and was like, fuck, I'll put my hands in the pocket. Oh.
Yeah, it could have been that. It could have been that. I don't know.
It's probably more likely.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. It's hard to say. Yeah, so there's that. And then being sick at home and just not, it hasn't been an enjoyable 7 days. Like the only enjoyable parts is that we've been able to binge some TV. Because I didn't even really start playing video games until like the last 24 hours here. And I'm sorry, because my stomach is like growling like a crazy person, and I don't know why.
Still better than hearing the neighbor's dogs.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they're pretty quiet. We have
might have been that firecracker.
We did have a tsunami warning today.
Yes, we did.
Which was
all the way down here as well.
Interesting. And I
But
wouldn't
you're
have.
nowhere near the shoreline though, where that would have been an issue, right?
Oh yeah, no. I'm so far inland into the
Yeah.
jaw of Washington State, as it were. That doesn't affect me. But what I have seen that was weird as fuck was such a thick level of fog rolling across my rooftop
Mm.
from the second floor of my house at such speed that it looked like a weird faux storm of some kind.
Right.
That I was like, huh, that's weird for 5 o'clock. So yeah, there's been some tsunami warnings here in Washington State, which is pretty. I would say it's definitely in the not common category.
No, especially considering the location. I mean, that it was an underwater volcano that erupted
Yeah, I heard
so
that.
violently that it could be seen from space.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Right. But it was closer to, it was in the South Pacific Ocean, like near Australia, South Pacific.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's a ways
far.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, the only other thing that I can think of to talk about in life was that my good buddy Jay has returned from his Antarctica trip and had
So he's back in the yurt.
back in the yurt of the old US of A. Yeah, he shared some photos and stuff. I haven't seen him in person yet because I've been busy not dying.
Right.
But yeah, no, he had some fucking crazy pictures, and we talked a bit. Actually, just before I got sick, and said it was the closest he'd experienced to being on another planet while still being on this one.
Nice.
And I was like, I bet. So
You'll have to share those with the Discord community when you
Oh yeah. I'll have to dig those out actually. Yeah.
because it's better than seeing pictures of flat tires.
Oh yeah, that did happen too. God,
Mm-hmm.
I fucking forgot about that. Yeah, so first
It's
work
a good
day.
thing we have the Discord, right?
First work day back. We blew driver's side rear tire. And it was actually a huge blow too. It was on the inner side of the tube.
Mm-hmm.
I could stick both my fists through it. But what was weird though was we went like a full 15 miles. Like there was like a big bang, and we're like, okay, that could have been anything. Could have been rock. Could have been whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like Brock was like, you don't hear anything, like you don't feel anything, and I didn't feel anything pulling on the steering wheel. Like everything felt totally normal.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went about 15 miles, and then of course then we started hearing something, and then I was like, oh, it feels kind of squishy on the turning radius, and then we're like, okay, shit. So we got that fixed and went over to Les Schwab and got a full new tire set and stuff, all that sort of, lovely, fun shit.
Tires ain't cheap, man.
Well, I was actually shocked it was under 1,000, to be honest.
That's still not cheap. Yeah, I'm used to paying anywhere from 125 to 175 a tire.
Yeah, I think it was like 166 a tire. I think
Right in
like
that range. Yep.
Yeah, it was not bad. It was definitely, we were expecting 1,000, considering the age of the vehicle and the type of tires that we needed to have on it. High mileage stuff. But yeah. Well,
True.
see, this is why I'm glad you're such a fastidious co-host, because you just reminded me of all of the life things that happened to me that I totally fucking forgot about.
While your brain was melting.
Yeah.
Melting.
You could say that again. It's terrible. It's like a kid flicking a light switch. Fever, not fever. Fever, not fever. Fever, not fever. Fever, not fever.
Oh God.
Yeah, I imagine honestly, with how much sweat soaked into my pillow over the last week.
You're just gonna have to buy a new one.
Yeah. I don't have money for that, Nate. It's gonna get washed probably tomorrow, actually. I'm kind of secretly hoping that with the lack of eating and the sweating, that maybe I shed a couple pounds just to kickstart.
The flu fasting.
Yeah, the flu fasting. That's for fucking sure. God, it was broth and crackers and tea and fruit juice. It's pretty much what the diet was. So, yeah, you know. Well, you know, that's not about me in life. What's interesting stories have befallen you and your fortune?
Well, we're still scheduling everything we can at work, trying to make deadlines, and
Okay.
your boy might be going back to night shift by the time the next episode rolls around. Uh, so there's
I'm sorry to hear that.
right. So am I. Like I've gotten so used to. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of nice just having that time to myself and to actually be able to sleep without um, creatures
Sure.
or family
Yeah.
waking me up at all hours of the night. But man, did that make it made weekends rough.
Yeah, I bet.
So I think at this point, I don't know if we talked about it on air, but yeah, I think when it happens again, I'm gonna power through the weekends
Ooh.
and at least try to, yeah.
Okay.
Well, considering I wouldn't go back to work until Monday at 9 p.m.,
That's true. You
I
have a
could
little bit of a
essentially,
respite on Monday.
yeah, I could reset myself on Monday. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at that going, okay, I might be able to pull this off. And then they're only getting a hard 10 weeks from me.
Mm.
We already
Yeah.
pre-negotiated this. It's like there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
I gotcha.
So that's what's going on there. We're still in the midst of a corporate takeover.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Big fish bought out by a bigger fish.
Okay.
So that's fun.
I assume you'll be safe since you're invaluable and unreplaceable.
Nobody is,
Okay.
but that's the nature of everything. You
Okay.
can always be replaced. Just the people that value me want to keep me there, but the people coming in don't value me yet.
Gotcha.
Right? I'm a tick on a spreadsheet. So
Okay.
yeah, so we're going through all that nonsense, and then all the while we're moving along with the school year and the kids, and trying to keep them out of harm's way. And they got a free week off because the um, person that runs our daycare, this is more of the bullet time I've been dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Person that runs our daycare, her daughter, who comes in and helps her, um, tested positive for COVID.
Jeez.
So yeah, so our daycare basically got shut down. That was I think you texted me sometime last week, and I was like, I actually happen to be home.
Mm. Yeah.
And that was why I had to take the day off so that so watch the kiddos.
Mm.
And then the wives arranged all their classroom and substitution, their substitute T-shirts, and they took care of the rest of the week.
Yeah, I think that was about the time when I was not sick and I had communicated to you in an evening expecting you to be awake and not knowing that you had switched back to days.
Mm-hmm.
And then felt bad for bugging you when you were probably asleep.
Right.
I do believe was what occurred on my end.
Right. No, I'm back on days. You're like, oh, cool. Are you at work? Actually, no, I'm not. Oh,
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that day. It
Yeah.
was good. Yeah. Because I've been trying to arrange some kind of meeting so that Big Daddy Nate Fu can take Little Tim's hand through the growing pains of
The
OBS
world of
and
OBS.
Streamlabs and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I've got them downloaded. I haven't done anything with them.
Okay, that's
So,
fine.
and I've fondled the box, but I've not plugged the box in per se.
Okay.
I've watched about 30 video reviews, most of which, oh, I
Oh, and,
remember.
and
I
I
remember
love the
this now.
review videos because they show you all the cool shit you can do, but don't even bother to tell you how to do it.
Yeah, those would
Hmm.
be the ones. I watched a couple of setup ones, but they were not. I was like, wait, I don't know how to do blah. You skipped
Hmm.
a step. You skipped a step. I'm lost now.
Right.
But it was funny. One of the video reviewers who is like a whatever influencer, whatever, who gets sent shit by Razer,
Hmm.
pointed out that the Ripsaw HD internals are actually made by it was that video streamer company that you had mentioned last podcast that I had never
Aver?
heard of. I believe so.
Yeah, Aver Media.
Yes, Aver Media.
Yep.
And said that that was one of the reasons why the Ripsaw HD is so good is because it's actually not really made by Razer.
That would
Which
make
I
sense.
found hilarious because I guess they bought that product off of Aver,
Okay.
which makes further sense for Razer, given that that's their clout, gaming. And if somebody else does it well, sure, why not?
Right.
Um,
Slap the snake on it. Call it ours.
but yeah, I remember hearing that in the video review, and I was like, oh, I'm going to tell Nate that. And thankfully, I remembered this time. So, yeah, one of these days you're gonna have to guide me through whatever the fuck I need to do.
Yeah, I mean,
To do
really,
all
the
this
hardest
shit.
part of it is making the connection and um, not so much the physical connections, but making the connections via the software and what it does.
Well,
Um,
you know what makes
and
me nervous about the whole thing is
mm,
like I'm concerned that I might have to get like more cables to have the kind of
mm,
setup that will make me comfortable because like I feel like everything I've watched, they basically will want me at my computer to play the
mhm,
games, and I don't want to do that,
right.
but I have already long HDMI cables to my TV, and even though it's only like 4 feet behind me, I'm wondering if there's not a way through proper routing to get the output going to already one of my other HDMI splitters to the TV. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Well, there should be. There should be an in and an out on the back of the
Oh, there is.
device, so that basically that
There is.
runs in line from whatever. If you're gaming on your PC, it's not using the capture card. You're actually capturing your monitor. So,
Right. And I
like,
understand.
you wouldn't
And
go
I
out of
understand that.
your video card into your capture card back
Right.
into right. You wouldn't do that. You
No,
could.
I understand.
You wouldn't.
Right.
So yeah, that in and of itself is pretty easy. It's just, again, setting up the software. You work around a lot of wiring now with all the stuff that you do,
Yeah.
so you understand the value of labeling the wires correctly.
Well, I have color coded cables, so
Right.
I'm pretty okay in the HDMI front on that part. And thankfully, a lot of the
Well, no. You got to wrap your head around the software side of it. When you
oh
put things in as generic input 1, generic input 2,
oh
generic
okay,
input
I
3,
got you. I got
right?
you.
So yeah, value learning how to label your cables, and it'll
Yeah.
make operating OBS a whole lot easier, especially your scenes. Like I go over to the brother-in-laws, and it's like scene 1 through 18, and I go, okay, which one's your intro screen? He goes 3, and I go, how do you know that? He goes, I don't know.
Okay.
Like I couldn't sit in front of his OBS and operate it proficiently because I don't know what anything is.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, but yeah, start with a good foundation, and it just becomes a piece of cake. Everything becomes self-explanatory once you kind of fiddle around with it and set it up. Unless you want to get stupid fancy with the alerts and animations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't need all that.
Right.
I mean,
When
I think in my ideal world, I think what I would have is me obviously positionable per game,
mm-hmm,
which should be done by the mouse if I'm not mistaken.
mm-hmm.
And then like maybe a ticker at the bottom with just general blah stuff that PlayStation already does
Sure.
anyway.
And then maybe a chat overlay.
Yeah, do you think I should have that?
You know what? And the general consensus on that is a lot of people, they'll do a chat overlay and they'll do it small.
Okay.
But what it does is it gives your audience, like if I type something and go, "Hey Tim," and you don't respond,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if my message if it's 30-second lag, if it's whatever, if you're not paying attention.
Now,
If
so
you have a
when
chat
those
overlay
when
and I
those
say, "Hey Tim," 5 seconds later it pops up on your screen, I know now I'm gonna have to wait 5 seconds for you to respond.
Mm.
So it's a good indicator.
Now, I'm assuming since the point of the going more pro with the capture card and stuff, like
Hmm.
those overlays would be on what would be the outbound capture. So would I see those
No, you
on
would
the
not.
main screen, or that would be confined to the
They would
PC?
be on the outbound.
Okay, and that would be fine to me.
Yeah.
Because I would assume at that point I could also perhaps make those bigger on the other screen. Because
Hmm.
like what I'm imagining is like, okay, so like I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm looking left to how many inches is this? What is this? This is probably like a 27-inch monitor,
Hmm.
super wide. Then I could probably have that in like a corner, and then I could
Yep.
look left and see that while also looking at my main screen.
Very much so. It'd just be a matter of being able to read it. How does the PlayStation do it now?
So there's three different ways the PlayStation does it, specifically
Okay.
when streaming. You can either have all of that overlaid stuff on your screen while it's happening. So it's got its
You.
own bar, which minimizes your game
Hmm.
screen estate, which is better when you have a 65-inch TV like me, but not great. Or it can feed separately to the PlayStation app, and then you have that on your phone or your tablet next to you, and then that just feeds down normally.
Right. Is that what you normally do?
What I normally do is I just have um, like a quality monitoring stream on my iPad, and just have the text up on the iPad.
Ah,
Is what I
gotcha.
normally do with in pre-capture card era.
That explains so much.
Oh, it does.
Hmm.
Is that a good explains so much or a bad explains so much?
Well, it's good. It's bad. It's bad that it explains why um, you tend to really lag in your response.
Oh, because I'm watching the feed.
Yeah.
Hmm. I see.
Well, you're watching a delayed feed of a delayed feed,
Right,
right?
right, 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 right.
I'm typing into a delay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then you're seeing it on my side of delay. So it's right. I'm already 10 seconds behind, so now I'm almost
Right.
20 seconds behind before you see respond, etc.
Yeah, that's true.
So okay, good to know. But yeah, all that stuff can be put in, and yeah, I could send you a screen cap of my setup and just show you the labeling. I did basic minimum, like you've been to my stream before. It's basic minimum graphics. Um, it's got the social link on there. Got my nifty logo.
Yeah, and is that all in the Streamlabs stuff, or how?
That's all in. Yeah, that's all
Okay.
in OBS.
Okay.
And then if someone follows or raids or whatnot, I get an alert pop up, and that goes through Streamlabs.
Okay. Fair
And
enough.
that's basically you import a browser source. I'll show you.
Okay.
Easy. Once you get a few of them done, you go, oh, okay, add browser source. Easy.
Okay. Okay.
So
All right. Well, let's spin this ring and find out where we end up next. All right, that's air.
air is video games.
Okay. Well, this last
You're
week.
you're gonna chuckle at mine.
Oh, is it nothing again?
No, we're playing more and more of the Switch, and
Ooh.
I may have dipped my toes into Animal Crossing.
Oh no.
Oh yeah,
You don't dip. That's a full Coke snort line right there.
exactly. I've been playing Animal Crossing.
Yep. So here's the real question. How many fucking bells do you owe Tom Nook?
I don't know, because I don't know that I've got. I think I went through the whole, the first tutorial part. So I think I got to a point where I have a cot and a tent. I've picked up pears and sticks, and
Yep.
I've helped all the neighbors find places to put a tent. Yeah.
So then another important question, because it's the question of the day when you're playing Animal Crossing, New Horizons, is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Are
ACNH,
are
as
you
the
the
kids are calling
master
it.
profile on the Switch?
I'm the master account holder. I don't know that I'm the master profile.
Are you the primary creator of the Amazon or the Animal Crossing save?
Maybe.
Because if you're not,
I got to start all over when I put it on mine
no,
or on another one.
You can transfer it. There's a separate tool you can download off of the eShop.
Oh,
But
yeah, I did see that.
you won't be able to progress with fuck all until the main person has progressed.
Gotcha. I think it's the only
most
one on
aggravating
there.
thing ever.
Yeah, I don't know that we're on sub accounts, but I don't know whose profile it was created. I think it was done under my kiddos, because it was meant for her.
Mm.
And that account is on both my Switch and my brother-in-law's Switch.
Okay.
Yeah, my brother-in-law had to go get a Switch because, I have one for the kids.
Yeah, for the kids. Wink.
Which, when I went over there the other day, when we had, because the day I had the kids to myself, we ended up going over there afterwards, and I couldn't find the Switch anywhere until I walked into their bedroom, and it's sitting next to the bed for the kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get yourself a screen protector for that thing?
I have not.
You should, because the unfortunately it is
very scratchable.
It's just like a shitty plastic film.
Yeah.
Super cheap. Very scratchy.
Does it already have a screen protector on it? Okay.
No, it does not.
Okay.
I would get one on there ASAP.
Okay.
I think I got, I'm trying to remember which one I got originally. I think I got a Pelican one. And it's been solid since 2017. So
okay.
It's like $3.
Yeah, like the one we have at my house hasn't left the dock.
Yeah, that's the other reason. The dock can actually scratch the screen.
Of course it can.
Yep. Yep. It's an original model, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 100% can scratch the screen.
Yeah, I got the OG red and blue.
Yep.
And brother got the Animal Crossing one.
Yep. I think it's
pastel.
I think it's still an original model one, though, if I'm not mistaken. At least the hardware, it's just a different color.
Right.
Yeah, get some screen protectors on those boys. ASAP. You'll thank me later. Because the cuts that can go in them are
I'll
quite
be
deep.
reminded when I listen back to this, because I QC.
And
I'll be like, oh shit, I'll be sitting at work going, Amazon, Pelican, screen protectors, 2-pack. Sweet.
Yeah.
One for each.
Well, in the last, so prior to sickness, my work week before I got knocked out with this flu, I discovered a mobile game that is stupendous, and I'm still playing, and it's called War Tortoise 2. And it's a tortoise.
Interesting.
It's a tortoise going through an apocalyptic wasteland with animal rat creatures on the helm, some fucking steampunk shit, fucking shooting guns and howitzers out the side of this fucking tortoise. And this is a mouthful. It is a real-time shooting RPG open world, also idle farming / fishing slash third person open world action RPG with RTS management sim shit.
The only thing missing from that was a Vania somewhere.
Yeah, it is not a Vania. But it's so lovely. So it's made by a games company called Forsaken Media, which are only 4 brothers. That's it. It's made by 4 people. It looks like a AAA game, plays like a AAA game. It's bloodless but surprisingly dark. So it's hamsters with rocket launchers on the back of their shoulders with eye
Sure.
patches and swords and
It's war.
yeah, all
It's
this
not bloody and gory.
ridiculous stuff. And it's interesting because the map is utterly gigantic. I mean, it would make an Ubisoft open world map blush with how gigantic it was. I think I stumbled onto the Discord for the game, and they've got something like 260 outposts to capture and build shit on and stuff. And I was like, gee, zus. And then of course it's got the power creep deliciousness of, you can grind and grind and grind and grind and then get stomped by a boss, but then you can recycle your Tortoise and his DNA for the next generation of Tortoise, and get stat buffs in different categories and stuff, and then make your next Tortoise and then his family line like even stronger kind of thing.
Okay.
But it's just a fantastically made game, and it's a freemium title. So it does ask for money from time to time, but it's not obnoxious about it in any way, shape, or form. It is available on Android and iOS, and it's a really fucking good time. I even got Brock into it. He's like, "This is actually a pretty fucking good game." I was like, "I told you." Fucking told you. It's just the perfect kind of game to play while you're watching a show, or because you can. It's one of those games that can be as involved as you want to be in it, or you can also just kind of let your Tortoise roam and fucking murder shit while you're doing something else. And it's also clever enough to know when you put it down, and there's a certain point in the game where it's like, oh yeah, your different bases and camps, they've earned resources while you're away, and I'm like, oh cool, get a nice power boost for not playing for 8 hours or whatever.
Cool.
So it's a very well tuned game. So I've been doing that pretty much exclusively since just before New Year's, and then into the new year before I got sick. And then just the last day only here, since I've gotten a bit better, even though my voice probably is sounding increasingly worse as it sounds more and more hoarse as I go on, because this is the most talking I've done in about a week.
Right.
I managed to complete Hitman 2 of the newer Hitman World of Assassination trilogy, and move on to Hitman 3. And me and Jessica yesterday, since she's all into crime and stuff, I did the first level of Hitman 3, and then the second level, which is the famous Hitman level that everybody talked about because it's the murder mystery level.
Okay.
And I gotta say, it's pretty fucking fantastic. Like, you solve this whole fucking like Knives Out murder mystery thing, and you become the sleuth even though you're there to murder somebody. And it's ridiculous and fucking so over the top, and like, oh, there's a fucking secret, and you're investigating crime scenes and shit even though you're the fucking hitman. And it's just such an awesomely well designed level, and I see why everyone and their dog was talking about it. I think it won a design award or something like that. But yeah, no. So I've been plugging along through the Hitman games, which is incredibly timely because they actually just had a video that came out announcing Hitman 3 Year 2 support for this year, and they're adding some pretty pretty stellar stuff to Hitman this year. Number one that they're adding is that they're adding this year's elusive targets. And the way that works in Hitman is they basically have like a new thing in a map for you to kill. But if you don't kill them, that's it. You don't ever get to go for them again. Like
Right.
the stakes are like perma fail.
So if you're a completionist,
Oh, it'd probably drive you crazy because you could fuck it up.
right?
And my understanding is they don't allow saving in those modes. And I'm dying here.
All right.
I'm gonna drink.
Take your time. The nice thing about the way we do this is you can edit this out later.
Except you know that I won't.
Well, you already have like a silent pass on it, right? A silent skip pass.
I don't actually use a silent skip pass. But I do have noise floors.
Oh, okay.
That generally do a pretty good job of stuff. And I mean, if I'm listen editing, like I'll cut huge swaths out.
Gotcha.
If there's a big gap for whatever reason. But generally not so much.
Yeah, I do a very loose truncate silence, so it's like anything over 3 seconds gets chopped to 3 seconds.
Yeah. That's fair.
So
The dangers of that though is if you do it wrong, you can get your audio out of sync pretty fast.
that's why I do it after I do a meld.
A Vulcan mind meld? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. God damn it. What
in the hell?
What'd you do?
Sounded like something fell. I think it might have been outside the office.
Oh, I see.
Cats.
But yeah, no, so Hitman's got more content lined up. They've got a new map, which I was surprised to hear was coming later this year. And then most interestingly, they've got a new mode called Freelancer, which sounds super cool. Where they're basically, you have like a hideout to go to that you're customizing, and like anything you take into missions, like you take out, like you have what you have on you, and it's like persistent from level to level. And there's supposed to be like new campaigns with it or something, even though I assume they're reusing the Hitman maps that have already come out since they've already made so damn many of them. But it sounds cool because they were talking about like persistence and it being kind of like a roguelike take on Hitman. So something that you can play over and over again. And I was like, ooh, that seems like a pretty smart move. And it's interesting now that I've gone through Hitman 1 and Hitman 2 and now I'm in Hitman 3. There are definitely some levels, since we know that IO Interactive is working on a James Bond game. That's like, oh man, this is totally like a Bond villain lair moment thing. Like the end of Hitman 1, you like go to this like crazy rich Japanese medical facility up in the mountains. Like it's like just on top of a mountain for no fucking reason. And and you're like, like you're fucking up somebody's like replacement heart or something in like biosurgery or something. It's totally absurd, but it's super awesome. And it's like, yeah, I could totally see this being a Bond level,
right?
So I'm pretty excited to see what ultimately their Bond game, if it's just Hitman with a Bond skin or if they've got some extra specialness up their sleeves. We'll see.
Right.
Either way, I'm excited, especially since Hitman is one of the only remaining stealth games out there, at least until the, which did get announced, which I don't think we talked about, was the Splinter Cell officially got they're doing a full-on reboot
of
Splinter Cell 1. is what they have stated.
Oh,
So we'll see what that's going to be like. It's being
so you think it's going to just be a visual pass?
No, they're making it from the ground up. They've already stated what their mission statement was
Okay.
to keep the linearity of the levels of yore, but open it up in the choices and particularly the controls department that have evolved over the years. They've already announced that. Oh fuck, I'm drawing a blank. If I'm wrong on this, folks, write in. That Ubisoft Vancouver is taking on. God damn it! That is taking on the development duties, which is fine because they were actually the last studio to do the last Splinter Cell game, Splinter Cell Blacklist, way back in 2011, I think it was. So it makes sense that if they're the last people to touch the franchise, assuming they've still got folks there that remember how that franchise was made,
Right.
You'd start there. They did announce that they are using the Snowdrop engine, which currently powers The Division, and very strangely, Starlink and Mario and Rabbids Battle something on the Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
So the fact that it's already coming from another Tom Clancy game, the game engine, and that The Division already has stealth elements in, I can already see why they chose that engine. It's like, okay, it's already got third person, it's already got cover, it's already got stealth stuff, it's already got shooting. Then we can just
good lighting.
We can already just fine tune this. It's already a next gen engine running, appropriately on the consoles.
Yeah, trying to figure out where you were in or out of shadows in the original Splinter Cell was like, other than the little meter.
Yeah, because it was dark.
The eyeball meter.
It was black. It was black and then light. But at the time, it was so cool because we didn't have black and light until that game, really.
But yeah, there was no gradient. Like you start walking out of a shadow, and it's like, am I still in the dark? And you have to look at that little dimming eyeball. I remember that.
I don't think it was a dimming eyeball. I thought it was like a straight up light meter. Wasn't it?
I don't think so. Well,
maybe it was maybe it was a straight up light meter in Splinter Cell 3.
Maybe.
It could be. But either way, that's coming. It's not coming anytime soon because they had a really brief press release about it, and we're like, we're working on it. We just started. That's it.
Good.
This is the engine we're using. This is the studio making it.
It's been a while since there's been a good game where stealth was the mechanic.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, Hitman is your go-to for stealth right now. It's a fantastic, utterly amazing stealth game. Which, speaking of which, the Hitman Trilogy coming to Game Pass and Game Pass on PC, beginning of next month.
Yay.
So if you haven't checked out those games, there's
I'll probably be
fuckload of content
downloading them when they come out.
Yeah, and then they just
Let's
announced
see if I actually play them.
They just announced that the ray tracing patch is coming to those games as well. And they already are very, very pretty games. So that'll just add to the already pretty realism thing that they've got going for that.
They can make Hitman look like Control.
I mean, I would argue that Hitman already looks pretty close to Control.
I would as well.
They definitely have a similar art style, as weird as that may sound. Both coming from the Swedish, or I think they both come from the same Dutch Sweden area or whatever. So, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, check out the Hitman World of Assassination trilogy. Coming
when it comes to Game Pass.
Yeah, coming to Game Pass in just a few weeks' time. Pretty fantastic package, I must say so myself. With more content on the way. And most of that content will be free, is my understanding as well.
I wonder if that's why it's coming to Game Pass to kind of stoke.
Could be.
It's a good move. Like,
yeah, it's a good move. I was surprised it came to Game Pass on PC as well, since Hitman, as we all know, started as a PC franchise.
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, really good stuff. Just like I believe the Mass Effect collection is also hitting Game Pass, or has already hit Game Pass.
I believe it has, actually.
By the time that this is being recorded. So if y'all haven't checked out the greatest sci-fi Western RPG ever made, go get downloaded on that. And then talk to me in 120 hours after you've beat all 3 games. Because it is it's a spectacular story, and it's a spectacular ride where your choices actually matter. And surprisingly, EA and BioWare did not fuck up the remaster of the trilogy. So take that for what it's worth. Yeah, no, so I did that. And the only other thing was Thursday night, when we weren't quite 100%, but our friends felt sorry for us, we decided to do a little FaceTime propped up in the corner while we did Mario Kart Online and a round of Mario Party Online, which was quite nice of our friends.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And so that was it was a nice little reprieve, even though we were a little delirious while we were racing. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for gaming. There's probably some gaming news, but as y'all can hear, I feel like the Wicked Witch, and I'm fucking melting right now. Which is weird, because I don't think I have a fever back, because if I do, that would suck. But my voice is definitely failing me. So I'm going to spin the ring and
I had one more thing in gaming.
Oh,
have you gotten on the Wordle craze yet?
So I feel weird about this Wordle thing. Isn't this an old game that's already been around for a while?
Well, it's been around for at least 210 days at this point, so.
Because I could have swore I have an app from Microsoft on my iPhone. Casual. Yeah, so I have Microsoft Casual Games Wordament. Is that the same thing?
No, not the same.
Okay, what the fuck is Wordle? Explain this to me.
It's like your daily crossword type thing. It's a new puzzle a day.
Okay.
It's a 5-letter word. You get 6 guesses at it.
That's it.
If you go to the site itself, it's only a web-based. The controversy right now is, as soon as it got popular, everyone ripped it off and put a Wordle clone in the store, and it's the highest selling app on both Google and Apple right now. But it's not the actual original game. But yeah, you get 6 guesses at a 5-letter word. If you and the strategy is, like Wheel of Fortune, right? You pick common letters. So
sure.
like trail is a good first guess, because you're going to get 2 vowels, a T, an R, and an L out of the way.
Okay.
Right. If you get a letter that's in the puzzle, but not in the right place, it'll be yellow. If you get a letter that's in the puzzle in the right place, it'll be green. If you get a letter that's not in the puzzle at all, it'll actually gray out and come off your keyboard. And you get 6 guesses to figure out what the word is.
Sounds fucking riveting. I'm so glad that you gave it this precocious space on our sacred podcast.
It's not riveting, but I tell you, it's stupid, dumb fun that it's that one thing. Like, as soon as I see someone post their Wordle score, it's like, oh yeah, I've got a minute and a half. And I go I do my 6 guesses and go, cool, I'm done with that for the day.
Okay, fair enough.
You'll have to pardon me for a sec. My wife just walked in the room.
Okay. And this is where we vamp for a minute, folks. where my voice probably sounds like shit. And there's probably not a damn thing that my filters can do about it. But, you know, we're here. The show must go on. I don't know
The
why.
show always goes on.
It does always go on. Anything important?
No, she was just letting me know that she was calling it a night going to bed and that she checked on the kids. And my daughter pretty clearly said in her sleep, "What the fuck?" Right?
It's fantastic. I kind of love that, honestly.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh, man. You know,
But yeah,
it's
and then to thank me for taking care of stuff today because she hasn't been in the best mood.
Oh, I see.
There, you know, the womanly thing is in town, so
Yeah, mine's too.
Yep. Yeah,
I do believe it was, yay, I'm not sick. I can go back to work. Oh, fuck. Are you kidding me?
It's kind of
was exactly that.
we kind of have that same thing going on here. So yeah, go ahead, spin the ring.
Nope, we just did air, right? That was video games, right?
Yep.
All right, water.
Entertainment.
All right, something I've been doing because I've been doing nothing else.
Let's get the two big topics out of the way. Jason Momoa is no longer married, and Megan Fox is about to be.
Oh, I didn't know about the Megan Fox thing at all. I knew about the Momoa thing.
Yeah, that happened about like the same day, but
interesting statement. I think the takeaway from that is, who the fuck in Hollywood stays married for 17 years? That sounds to me like they really gave it their all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, damn. Like a Hollywood marriage is what? 6 months at best?
A few years, maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah. Kudos to Momoa statement.
And Lisa Bonet. Yeah.
And, yeah. And I do believe the Reddit thread was like, all right, who gets Lenny Kravitz? You know?
Yeah.
Like, so ridiculous. But so what's going on with Megan Fox?
She's officially engaged to Machine Gun Kelly, and she is like the second coming of Angelina Jolie at this point.
That is so weird to me because she'd been married to Brian Austin Green for like ever, and they had like 2 kids together, right?
Something like that.
Which is crazy to me because like it just doesn't seem like, I don't know what Hollywood magic occurs where these supermodel Hollywood women can like pop out babies and then like still be supermodels. And I'm not saying like that's a bad thing. I'm just saying like, you know, I'm an adult man and I understand the ravaging that having a baby can do to your system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it just happens.
The nice thing is when you're in this kind of position and you're a supermodel and you've got like movie contracts and et cetera, you can afford dietitians, you can afford.
That's true. You've got all the things and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's not like your significant other has to be out, you know, grinding away, earning a living for you while, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So it does definitely help. But yeah, she was with Brian Austin Green for 11 years. So there you go,
yeah,
Hollywood.
I mean, they had 2 kids, you know, and she was very committed. Jesus Christ, how?
Bodhi, Noah, and
crazy.
Journey. Yeah, Bodhi Ransom, Noah Shannon, and Journey River.
Of course, because Hollywood.
Right.
Well, okay then.
And she is 35. You believe that?
That's insanity. I mean, fuck, am I almost 35? I think I am. Like, that's shit, man.
She's just a year younger than my wife.
You know, I mean, that's one of those things where like, God damn it, I remember when she was a teenager and I was a teenager. Shit.
I'm what 4 days? I'm 4 days older than Angelina Jolie, so yeah, I can remember when we were both teenagers.
That's crazy.
Like, yeah, I think I'm actually aging better than her.
Yeah, I mean, she, her going cold turkey on vampirism has not done her any favors. Although I will say, her role in Eternals was quite lovely.
Yes,
Very very good.
she cleans up nicely.
Sure. I mean, I just thought her acting in that was pretty fucking solid.
Oh, she's a stellar actor, or act. Is it officially actor or actress, or I don't know.
I think it depends on who you're talking to be honest.
Sure.
It's one of
Yeah.
those things. So I can't remember if I talked about the last movie that I saw in theaters in 2021. Did I talk about that yet on the show?
Maybe.
Okay, did I talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Yes.
I did. On the show.
Maybe.
Okay, well, if this is a repeat, I'm sorry, Fork fam. It's been a crazy last couple of weeks. I took my folks to Ghostbusters Afterlife a couple of days before New Year's Eve. And it was everything a Ghostbusters movie should be, and is the true Ghostbusters movie that should have come out instead of that the fucking terrible Ghostbusters movie. We all know the one.
the all-girl cast.
Yeah. This had all the heart, the charm, the Ghostbusters-esque scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course this one had the big cameos in it as well. From I'm not even gonna ruin the cameos because they pulled off something in Ghostbusters Afterlife that Hollywood needs to look to as a reference for this is how you pull off legendary older actors cameos. That's
Okay.
That's all I can say without giving stuff away.
Okay.
But yeah, it was fantastic. Like, it was, I've heard some people say it's like, okay, well, it's like a Stranger Things meets Ghostbusters because they have a young cast for the most part, aside from Paul Rudd and
right, and I think one of the actors in there also was in Stranger Things or something like that.
Yeah, the main male kid.
So yeah,
who's the brother to the sister, and the sister is just this weird.
Wait, was the brother to the sister?
So okay, so in the
no, think of that statement. Yes, he was the brother to someone's sister.
Within the context of the movie,
okay,
the older brother in the cast is one of the lead kids from Stranger Things.
Yes,
that is true. But really, it was his younger sister's movie.
Right.
And she was, or is, delightfully just weird and has that kind of, for lack of a better term, it factor. That was just fantastic going into the film. And what's interesting to me is, like, Paul Rudd's in this movie, and he definitely says Paul Rudd funny things, but his character interestingly takes a backseat to the kid's trajectory in the film.
Okay.
And ultimately, by the credits close and all that sort of stuff, it's like, that feels like a proper Ghostbusters 3. So highly recommend it to anybody who's a Ghostbusters fan and felt the previous reboot movie was lacking.
Is that out on streaming services
It
yet?
is now, because as like the
Which ones?
next day. um which one is it on? I don't know. It's a Sony film, so I don't know which one it's streaming on. It's available for rental and digital download
Oh,
right now. I don't know which one it's streaming on though. I'd have to Google that.
listen to me clicky clack here.
Okay, clicky clack that Google foo.
Okay, watch movie. Google Play, Apple TV, Vudu, Amazon Prime Video, and YouTube.
Okay.
But none of them for free yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's all $20.
oh, well, it's $20 well spent if you're a Ghostbusters fan, in my opinion. I found it hit, you know, having grown up with the originals, it hit all of the boxes that I had been waiting for a new Ghostbusters thing to hit that only the video game did way back in 2009. It was fantastic. Just saying, Ghostbusters person, I was not disappointed. Big ass smile on my face the entire time. It was just lovely. So moving to 2022 and then the week of sickness. So me and the wife, we binged the entirety of Showtime's Yellow Jackets, Amazon's The Wilds, and then we finally got around to seeing, the most popular thing of 2021, Squid Game. What do you want to hear about first?
Yellow Jackets, actually.
So we watched Yellow Jackets on a whim of mine, because I think we saw a trailer for it every fucking time that we watched Dexter New Blood, which is now concluded. So Dexter has ended once again, which is weird to say, but there it is. And it was just like, I want to watch this show. We're dying. We're laying on a couch. Fuck it.
Right.
Was the kind of logic. So within the first episode, Yellow Jackets is a show about a all-girl soccer team who in the 80s went to go to nationals, but then had a plane crash and then got lost in the woods, and then they all went crazy and maybe ate each other for survival.
So Lord of the Flies, really. But a soccer team.
Yeah, I guess.
Kind of.
And there may or may not be I don't know any other way to put it than like lost-ish shit going on as well in these woods. So that's what I would say. Lost obviously being the I would argue it's probably the most famous Lost on a Spooky Island thing that there is within the last 20 years. Yeah?
Sure.
I mean, what else has there been though,
Who knows? Like Gilligan's Island?
I mean, I did say within the last 20 years. Gilligan's would have been before that. Even though I saw Gilligan's, so, I don't know. I don't know what that puts me in.
Yeah.
SS Minnow Yellow Jackets is not.
Right.
These bitches are eating each other.
And not in that way. Giggity.
Well, sometimes in that way. It's a Showtime show.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Yeah.
So sometimes there's eating out, and then there's sometimes eating.
Okay, enough.
So I watched the first episode. I actually hated it at first.
Of Yellow Jackets?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was like, I think my fever's kicked on. I'm gonna fall asleep. And Jessica's like, I'm gonna keep watching. And so I woke up 2 episodes later. She's still watching, and I'm like, so is it good? She's like, yeah, I actually really love all this stuff, and I like the portrayal of the girls, and I like that they chopped that one person's arm off, and like, and I'm like, okay. And so she kind of caught me up, and I'm like, I don't think I like this. But then I started digging it, and it was like, okay, this is actually pretty good. This is pretty nice, and it's juxtaposed from the time that they were girls with adult actor versions of
Mm-hmm.
the kids and like what they're doing in present day. And then there's like some other shit going on in present day where like one of them has been killed and they're trying to get to the bottom of a murder of like what the fuck. And there's all this stuff that's like tying back to their time in the woods. And in the show, like it's framed that they were out there for
19 months.
Yeah, 19 months specifically. And so it's, you know, it's pretty nutty and it's pretty crazy, and there's like weird shit in the woods, and maybe something sinister's happening. You know, you don't know yet.
And apparently it's been renewed for a second season.
Yep, has been renewed for a second season. It actually had a little bit of development hell, not because it was difficult to like produce or whatever, but because of COVID. It was one of those ones where like they were talking about how like they shot the pilot and then 2 years later they shot the show, but then like COVID happened, so then they finished the show this last fall, and it was like a whole weird thing for the cast because they had been working on it for like 3 years or something. But it's really high quality. It's really good. I will say the soundtrack is super creep-tastic in a unique way that I've not heard. There's like a lot of like using female breaths as like a like bass line.
Okay.
There's like stuff
Right.
like in the music, but it sounds like really good and eerie in like a kind of like, oh, this is like kind of lovely, but also a little creepy kind of way. So it's definitely got that going for it. So yeah, that's Yellow Jackets. You want a R-rated cannibalistic version of Lost that stars mostly females. There are a couple of dudes with them that lived.
It's Christina Ricci, and she's easy on the eyes.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it in this film. And actually, you wouldn't actually. It was like 5 episodes in, and I was like, "Is that Christina Ricci?" I think it is.
That's how I felt about her little spot that she had in the Matrix. It was just like, huh, is that Christina Ricci? And then sure shit.
In the Matrix?
The newest one?
Was she in them?
Yes, she was.
Was
she was in that boardroom.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Exactly. It was just, I see the face and I go, that looks familiar. Who is that? Is that Ricci?
No.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Well, if you're a fan of Christina Ricci playing, you know, super morbidly weird people, this is definitely a show for you.
She was Wednesday friggin' Addams. Of course I'm.
Oh, this is even more morbidly weird. But I'm enjoying it. So I'm glad that there's a season 2. I'm excited to uncover more mysteries because they uncover some right off the rip, and then others are mysteries throughout the season and moving into season 2. So it's got a nice mix going for it. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. All right, what do you want to hear about next?
Well, my wife is trying to drag me into, and not really drag me into, because I find this whole series extremely fascinating.
Okay.
Is The Man in the High Castle.
Ooh, so you know what? I've always wanted to watch that series, but I never have.
That was
like I had heard that it was like the first really good show on Amazon Prime. Because I know they had like 5 or 6 seasons or something. And
4.
It was just like, it was always one of those things that was like, oh man, I actually really like alternate history stuff.
Right. And the really source material was pretty good. Philip K. Dick is an excellent author.
Oh, I didn't know it came from a Philip K. Dick story.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's how my wife found about it, because she read the novel and she was like, they're making a series out of this. I need to
Okay.
see this.
Okay. Yeah, it's I think it's been on me and the wife's watch list for a long time, and we just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah,
So
like I haven't been able to keep up with it because she watches it when she's probably watching it right now. So I come in every few episodes, and every time I watch it, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna have to go back and watch this when you're done.
fair enough.
Uh, so yeah, I've been catching that one. I binged Cobra Kai, which
Okay.
when we talked about that one, you're like, I know nothing of this. Um,
Yep.
it would almost serve you.
I don't need to say anything embarrassing. Like the only Karate Kid I've seen is the
Jackie Chan
the
one.
Jaden Jackie Chan one, which
Yeah.
I enjoyed, by the way. But
Yeah,
I'm aware that that's not a popular opinion, so I will shut my pie hole.
it's not the Karate Kid, it's the Kung Fu Kid, but we won't go there. It was
Okay.
a good movie. It wasn't deserving of the title. It's like calling the whatever this new electric Mustang is a Mustang. It's not it's an SUV. Um, it's a
Fair
good
enough.
car. Don't put that name on it.
Fair enough.
The new Karate Kid was a good movie. Don't put that name on it. But yeah, like you at this point you have to know the original movies.
Yeah, that would have been my next question. Like, do I need to go see the original movies before I see this series?
You
Because everybody's
didn't
told
for
me.
the first season.
Okay.
Um, then when it got into the second season and they started doing little throwbacks and cameos, there especially the cameos, you're like, okay, you kind of need to know that.
Yeah. How
And
many Karate
then
Kids movies are there?
uh, 3 on the main path, and then there's a fourth one that had what was her name?
So
Hold on.
is the fourth one relevant?
Yes, because it still had Pat Morita.
Okay. So I need to watch 4 Karate Kid movies.
Hilary Swank.
Okay.
I don't think you need to, unless they somehow wrap her into the lore. You only need to watch 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. Fair
Because
enough.
at this point, all 3 of those are now part of the series. And it's a good series. It's just dumb fun.
Okay.
The fight choreography is it's gotten bad over the season, but I have a feeling that's production
Probably
woes
COVID.
with COVID.
Yeah, it
more
seems
than
like
anything.
all of the fighting stuff in all of the movies have had a COVID related woe there. So if action does come through, it's pretty remarkable. In fact, actually, that's one of the things I was hearing about for Spider-Man No Way Home. They were just like, yo, this movie was made literally in COVID, not, pause, not whatever. Like the whole movie was planned around COVID. And they're like, honestly, whichever Marvel stunt team worked on that needs an applause for them getting the action through. So
yeah, like the first season of Cobra Kai, it's like, okay, the fight scenes are pretty good. It's still their kids, so
yeah,
their level of skill can vary. Then towards the end, it felt like season 1 Power Rangers.
Ooh.
Right.
Okay. I understand.
So you know what I'm talking about.
But
yeah, like the stories, it's cool. It's dumb fun. It's a good throwback because I'm an old man that grew up. Karate Kid. The first one was 1984, then 86 and 89. That's like the heart of my childhood.
Yeah.
You were, being born.
Yeah, and
or conceived for one of these movies, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been watching that one. The other one, God, I'm drawing a blank, and I know I told you. The one you don't care about is I've been watching a sports documentary from Tom Brady called "The Man in the Arena."
Yep, definitely don't care about that.
Yeah.
Oh, we did actually. That did jog my memory. We did actually watch a new reality TV series that just popped on. It's a new Gordon Ramsay thing. It's called Next Level Chef.
Oh, I seen that.
It's fucking awesome. It's honestly the best Gordon Ramsay thing I've seen. So the premise is, um, it's Gordon Ramsay with a team competing with two other chefs in a team. And they built this insane, elaborate stage that's three
Right.
stories. And the third story is like the most top of the line kitchen you can imagine. The middle story is perfectly adequate, average
Mm-hmm.
professional restaurant kitchen. And then the bottom is a piece of shit kitchen with everything from the 70s and like 80s and shit, like just the oldest shit that they could find that was still
Right.
working, basically. And so the contestants, the chefs, they're looking for one next level chef, are made up of YouTubers, influencers, TikTok chefs. And
So do you work your way down the floors?
no. So what happens is, so there's teams of 5 being led by one of the master chefs. The master chefs are not allowed to like touch stuff, but they're allowed to like give advice and help and stuff and cheer them on.
Sure.
Or of course, in Ramsey's case, you know, what the fuck are you doing? And so each of them, they get a key card and then they go into an elevator. Then the elevator goes up and down, up and down, up and down, and then arrives on a random floor. And that's the floor where they land on. And then they have to cook their meal. And of course, it's themed stuff. So it's like, okay, well, this time we're doing steak. This time we're doing Italian, you know, that sort of thing. And they get an hour to cook. And each team member cooks their own separate meal. And if someone on the team cooks the best meal out of all of the teams, that whole team is safe from elimination. If
Interesting.
there's 2 teams that have the worst cooked things, those 2 worst chefs have to face off against each other in another cook-off for 30 minutes, doing a similar dish or the same kind of theme, to prove their worth. And whichever's meal tastes the best on a blind taste test from the judges, that person is safe. The other person gets eliminated from that team. So the judges don't know if they're eliminating, you know, could be someone potentially from their own team, right? Now, on top of that, while the 1 hour cook is going, in the center of this ridiculously elaborate set that they've built, there's an elevator, and the elevator comes down with the different foods that they're to prepare. And so it comes down from the top, you know, being the nicest, to the bottom. So by the time it gets to the bottom, it's been picked clean. So people are like, oh, fuck, I've got like a fucking can of Spam and a fucking cheese blog and all this shit. And they're like, what am I fucking gonna cook with this shit? You know? And it's fucking exciting, man. Like just the gaminess of it, you know, no pun intended, obviously. Which I guess would be a different word if you think about it that way in terms of food. But it's just fun, you know, like it's just interesting. They'll be like, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm cooking this flatbread thing, and like they're on the shitty kitchen and they're like, this thing isn't getting above 160 degrees. The fuck is this oven? How do I do? You know, meanwhile, like it could be like, you know, a TikTok influencer or some shit, and they're up in the fancy kitchen and they're like, I don't know how to use this ritzy gadget thing to cook my meal, you know, or whatever the fuck. It's just really exciting. Like it's just a really, really well made and executed show from Gordon Ramsay. And like we're 3 episodes in. It's available streaming on Hulu. If you have that, and it's just a really good, fun time because the mix of the different cooks and the whole level thing is exciting, and just the whole, you know, it's just a really cool cooking game show thing. So me and the wife have been watching that as well. Forgot to mention it. And then final 2 shows that I have on my docket are Squid Game and The Wilds. Which do you care to hear about first?
Well, you said Squid Game.
Yeah, but I didn't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Squid Game. I want your opinion on it. I caught most of it. I know the premise behind it. I don't know anything about the wild.
oh, okay. Squid Game. Man, I wish I'd watched that sooner. It was fucking riveting from start to finish. I fucking loved it. It was fantastic. Um, it reminded me of the very best uh, Korean filmography, like Parasite or Snowpiercer, or totally remind me of that particular director's style, where it was like this really raw story of people down on their luck trying to change their circumstances for the better, coupled with just this fucking freaky murder porn with a color candy coat of kids game aesthetic.
Right.
And like a creep-tastic soundtrack with just like choirs saying bing bong and stuff that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But man, what a fucking fantastic show. Um, we were guessing right up to the end. So many plot twists, so many good acting. I know the old man on the show, who's like 68 or something, he won like an Oscar or some shit for like best supporting actor or something on the show. Um, so that like I mean, it's interesting. So me and the wife, we watched it dubbed, which might be a little controversial for some people.
Mm-hmm.
We thought the dub was actually one of the better dubs for a foreign language
Mm-hmm.
film, I guess. Um, the reason we did that actually was we initially started watching it dubbed with subtitles.
Dubbed and subbed?
Yeah, dubbed and subbed. But we realized that we had to do one or the other because the dub definitely was not matching at all what the fucking subtitles said.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like,
Right.
fuck, this is impossible. So we watched it entirely.
Yeah, we watched it subbed.
Okay, we watched it dubbed on its entirety. And we felt that, and maybe it didn't. I don't know. Maybe there's a bunch of shit we missed because of mistranslation or something. But we felt the dub was pretty strong, and we were able to watch all 10 episodes. No, 9? Yeah, it had a weird number, like 9 episodes. But yeah, no, I'm for it. I'm stoked there's a season 2, but at the same time, I'm super worried because I'm like, well,
again,
what the fuck is the season 2 going to be about?
Right. Are you overthinking this?
Yeah. Are we doing this again because it's the most popular thing in the world and Netflix has now thrown $1 billion at these guys? Like, that's
while they're raising their prices. Yeah.
Yeah. While they're raising prices. But yeah, no, it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And that's actually what led us into a little bit. That's what led us into the Wilds and Yellow Jackets, because apparently while we were dying, we were hungry for murder porn.
Fair enough.
So we went from that to cannibals. Sorry. Close enough. We went straight from that to cannibalism. And then we jumped over to the Wilds. And the Wilds is an Amazon Prime original, available streaming now. It's already completed its first season, and supposedly it's almost done filming its second season. So it's set to come out soon. It is a show about this is going to sound ridiculous given the fact that we just talked about Yellow Jackets. It's an all-female cast about a plane crash, except they're on an island.
They're going to Hawaii, yeah.
Yeah, they were going to Hawaii, and of course they crashed somewhere else.
Right.
And this isn't a spoiler because it's revealed within the first episode that they were put there on purpose for some form of experiment.
Right, the Dawn of Eve program.
That is correct. Yeah, probably reading something on Google right now. Yep. Yeah, the Dawn of Eve program, which they don't know about, but they're in it. So they think that they're going for like a mental health retreat
Right.
thing because they're all socially maladjusted or have had some trauma. And then instead, they're part of a greater experiment, of which you know more about by the credits roll of the final episode of the season, but are still very much like, what the fuck are they actually doing with these fucking women? And it's also like Yellow Jackets in a way. It's also framed from there's time on the island, and then there's time where they're being interviewed in like an FBI lockup where they're
Right.
trying to piece together what the fuck happened on this island. And it's another one where like I was grabbed a little more at the beginning episode. And then a couple episodes after that, like the characters started grating on me. But then they kind of warmed on me as the show went on.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately I was just like, oh, well, yeah, this is a pretty good show. I'm into it. It's not quite as dark as Yellow Jackets. Like Yellow Jackets is dark.
Sure.
Whereas The Wilds is more like if they were to do a Lost-ish type show on a streaming network today. Like there's blood and violence and they say fucking stuff, but it's nothing like cannibalism.
Right.
From Yellow Jackets. You know. And it's also super odd because it has like a synth soundtrack, but then every now and again there's like, it's so funny because we've watched these two series back to back, and obviously I would think that they've been developed apart from each other, but there's still like a female like going like ha 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 on this fucking soundtrack too, and I'm just like it's funny, like things will get a little dark or whatever on the Wilds and be like, huh, I'm having a Yellow Jackets moment right now. In the score too, huh? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so if anybody's in the mood for Lost-ish type programming, check out Yellow Jackets or The Wilds, which does take place on an island. And actually, the filming location in I think Yellow Jackets, they're filming in Vancouver, predictable, whatever. But The Wilds actually films on some island off the coast of New Zealand. So their island actually looks a little bit exotic, which is kind of cool. So from a
Of course.
filmography perspective, it's like, oh, it kind of looks like the island from Lost, but they've got like, deep, deep black sands and kind of weird looking trees and stuff. So that's kind of neat from that perspective. So we've been doing that, and we just started the final season of Expanse tonight.
I'm so far behind on that one too.
I'm a little bit shocked that the final season's only 6 episodes. I did not know that going into it. So I've seen 2. So I've seen a good chunk of season 3 or season 6, sorry, of the final season already, which is surprising to me because it's like, well, we need to kick it into high gear here because we got a lot of stories to wrap up.
Right?
Like we got 4 hours to wrap this shit up in. Like, hurry the fuck up. It's good so far. It's more Expanse. What can I say?
Right.
If you love the Expanse, it's more of that, and hopefully leading to either a heartbreaking or awesome conclusion, or both. I don't know. We will find out.
Okay, yeah, it looks like they just got less and less episodes per season.
Yeah, which is a little weird since they did get
13, 13,
it's a little
10, 13, 13, 10, 10, and 6.
Yeah, that's weird. Especially since they did get bought by Amazon. So it's like, okay,
Right.
question mark? Like, were your actors' contracts running out? Like, I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I know there's been a lot of speculation about how it's going to end. I know it's already ended. It ended this week.
Right.
But I know before it aired, there's a lot of speculation as to how they would end it, since the storyline that they're doing in the books is not where the books end. And we're like, okay, so we're ending before the books. That's weird, but okay. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably have something to say on that next week, I presume.
Yeah. And then the one that we're both watching at the same time is the new Boba Fett.
Oh yeah, new Boba Fett. Why don't you talk about that? Do you like it?
I liked the second episode.
Okay, you didn't like the first one?
The first one was they jumped around a little too much, and I think that's kind of where I like the only issue I really have with the episode so far is the how much they do that jump around.
Okay.
It does break up some of the continuity, and I don't feel like they spend enough time in the present for a show that's I guess it's it's the book of Boba Fett, but for a show that felt like it was supposed to be a continuation in the Mandalorian timeline, it just doesn't feel like they've spent a whole lot of time in this timeline.
Sure. Yeah, I understand that. They've been doing a lot of backstory stuff.
But very good, like very good backstory.
I've been
second
enjoying
episode
the shit out of
was
all the Tusken stuff they've added.
Yeah,
really cool stuff. Learning more about them for like the first time ever in Star Wars. I know fans are concerned about this pacification of Boba Fett. And I get that, but as somebody who did watch the Clone Wars and has read some expanded universe stuff about Boba Fett, I'm okay with it because of the Tusken stuff.
Right.
The Tusken stuff is about this dude's rebirth as someone
crawling
who
from
can
the belly
have
of the Sarlacc.
honor. Yeah.
Right.
Because that's something that Boba has been searching for, going all the way back to the Clone Wars episodes. Like the dude's been looking for his honor, and when we found him in Mandalorian, he was looking for his armor because that's where he thought his honor laid,
right, and his honor, his identity, his purpose.
Yeah, and he finds it again in episode 2. And so I it's definitely not the I don't think it's the Boba Fett a lot of fans were thinking that they would see.
Sure. But it's good nonetheless. The last episode, and the roving Vespa gang didn't like.
Speaking of that, the lead chick of that roving Vespa gang, she's one of the main chicks on Yellow Jackets.
Of course she is.
I was just like, huh. She looks so different, not covered in blood. Yeah, so it's been interesting. I mean, I'm here for it. Like, I'm enjoying it. I think it's cool. He's slowly accumulating his power, so to speak, in Mos Espa, whatever.
Yes,
sister city to
Mos Eisley.
Which is cool that they went back there for a split second. We saw the little pit racing droids and stuff again, and I was like, "Oh, that's sweet."
Oh, you even saw the mechanic from Mandalorian walking.
Did
she
you?
was just off. Yeah, she was in the third episode. It was
I didn't see that.
They were flying over it, and here she is walking with the 3. The only reason I knew it was her is because the 3 pit droids were with her.
Oh shit! I didn't.
I was like,
think about that.
That's her.
That's awesome.
And Stephen Root.
Right?
I love him.
I couldn't believe it was Stephen Root. So good. So good. I mean, he's just honestly, I think Stephen Root is one of those actors that I love so much, but I'm also kind of surprised that he's still alive. I'm just like, holy fuck, dude.
You shut your face. You shut your damn whole face, okay? We've lost enough this year.
Right?
God, he was only born in 1951.
Yeah, that's. But yeah, no, that's cool. A little bit of a small role for him, but I mean, we also had Danny Trejo in there too. For that matter. And the Black Wookie is actually a particular high point for me in the series.
Right.
Because I first encountered him in the Marvel comics, actually, where he was fucking, he was sent in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back to go kill Han and Leia.
Interesting.
Yeah, and like he has a whole thing, and he rips C-3PO's arms off, and um, like him and Chewbacca like go at it a lot in the comics. Like he's like a super
Mhm.
cool evil Wookiee, basically. So it's kind of neat that like Boba just let him go because like Boba's working with him in those comics.
Okay.
So like him letting him go and being like, it's not worth it, dude. It's one bounty hunter from another, dude. Like, come on.
Right.
Like, remember when Darth Vader sent us after those guys? Like, I was like, oh, they put that in there for the comic book people. I feel so validated.
Sure. And who knows? They could, Wookiees and their life debts.
I guess,
Right.
this
Like at
this
some
one
point in
doesn't really
time,
follow them.
he could very easily turn around and be an ally at some point because, I know you're doing a job. I'm not going to hold that against you. Go.
Yeah, I mean, he could. He doesn't really follow the Wookiee honor system, so
Right.
we'll see. But yeah, no, it was awesome that they even put him in live action for the first time.
Hmm.
It was very pleasing as a Star Wars comic book fan, actually.
Sure.
Yeah, so that was good. Speaking of comic books, I forgot one other thing, mostly because it's old now. So I finally got around to seeing the final Fox X-Men movie, Dark Phoenix.
Oh.
I had never seen it, mostly because literally everyone and their mother was like, it is the worst one of all of them. And
Okay.
it was first time director of a famous writer who's done a lot of famous movies, everything from Transformers to other stuff.
Hmm.
Um, watched it, didn't have really any kind of, I just heard that it was super bad. Watched it, and I was just like, that was a totally great X-Men movie. Why did I wait so long to see this? Why did everybody shit on it? I was like, what is, like, the only thing that I could see really people shitting on it for was that they actually take the time to let scenes breathe rather than just being a comic book movie the whole time,
Hmm.
which is interesting to me because that's like one of the core conflicts in X-Men is it's about the people and the social economics and stuff, not necessarily all about, who's got what superpower doing what thing,
Right.
and it honestly, as the last one under the Fox studio, whether we'll ever see the young cast do X-Men again or not, it was pretty great. I didn't have a lot of problems with it. The only other problem I could think of was the fact that the core storyline was, I mean, it is called X-Men Dark Phoenix. It is about
Hmm.
Dark Phoenix, which we've already done in X-Men 3.
Hmm.
And it's one of the more famous comic book lines, but it's also kind of like, we've done this twice
Right.
in the movies now. That's, and it's totally different, than X-Men 3. Um,
Sure. How many times have they done Hulk? How many times have they done
exactly.
Spider-Man? How many?
Exactly.
Right.
But I definitely don't think it was deserving of any of the hate that it got. I know it bombed at the box office, but it was just like, it was really good. And honestly, the first time director, long time writer dude was like, he gave a lot of, I don't know, indie film panache to a lot of the scenes that made it feel a little more heavy and
Hmm.
weighty in the emotional department. Um, yeah, we got to the end, and I asked Jessica, she's not a super fan of the X Men, but she's watched them all, and I was like, "What do you think?" And she's like, "That was totally good. Like, why were people shitting on this film? Like, I don't get it." And I was like, "I don't get it either. This fucker came out in like 2018, 2017, something like that. Never saw it." So it goes. Available on Disney Plus. Yeah, so I think that's everything I've been watching, which is quite a lot because I've been sick.
Right.
Um, yeah.
And other than that, yeah, like the IGN has been spamming us with What was it?
Yeah, CES happened.
CES happened. Star Trek Picard's on production pause right now.
Yeah, because like 40, 60? It was
50.
it was a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of crew people got COVID, which is unfortunate. You keep that
Right.
fucking COVID away from my old British man, god damn it.
Right. We gave you Betty
Right?
on natural causes,
Which is
leave
a
Picard
whole
alone.
other fucking bullshit.
Right.
Right? And right before 2021 closed too. Like
right before
New
her
Year's
100th birthday.
Eve. Are you kidding me? What?
Yeah.
That sucked.
She was
fucking,
2.5 weeks away from her 100th birthday.
Yeah.
Had already done an interview with People Magazine or Time Magazine.
National treasure.
Yeah.
Most funniest old woman ever.
Mm-hmm.
took shit, kicked names.
Right.
Yeah, Betty White.
Oh yeah, so
genuine legend.
that's ton of stuff. Assassin's Creed Ezio collection announced for Switch.
So that one confuses the shit out of me because I thought it was already on Switch.
Ezio edition?
Yeah.
Or Ezio collection?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was very confused by
Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Revelations will be released on the Switch February 17th, 2022.
I think they called it the Rogue Collection, and it was Assassin's Creed 3 and Rogue were ported to Switch. And I think they ported Black Flag at some point as well, which is not surprising. Because the Switch continues to be the dominant selling piece of hardware, period, in the video game wars. Like you can complain all you want about PlayStation 5 sold out everywhere, you can't find them. True. Xbox Series X is sold out everywhere, you can't find them. True. Xbox Series S is usually sold out everywhere, you can sometimes find them. Also true. Also heard that Sony has refired back up the PlayStation 4 factory this year
because they are not going to make the demand for 5s, which that makes very little sense to me. Other than
I don't understand that at all.
You can still fab the parts or source the parts for the PS4, but
the only thing I could think of is maybe they've got like a stock of the CPUs.
Right.
Because they've got an APU unit, so it's a single chip.
That's what I'm saying. They can either source or fab the parts themselves.
Yeah, it's super weird.
They can still produce them. It's just like, but why?
Yeah, why wouldn't you put all available production into making the new thing that everybody wants?
Right.
It's such a weird, bad position, honestly, that Sony's in. And every article and Bloomberg article, not a week goes by without somebody stating, hey, this mid-tier next-gen Xbox Series S is kind of an ace in the hole because they can produce a lot of those and people are getting them. And if they want the next gen, well, fucking it streams it right on the goddamn console.
Right.
Speaking of that, it's also since we've entered the new year, this marks the official end of all production of all Xbox Ones.
Right.
Which we knew had been coming, and it made a big
stink. Went out for the old faithful.
Well, I guess your old faithful, right? Still alive and kicking and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. It's interesting. Well, and then actually on that same note of production issues with consoles, Nintendo announced that there was going to be supply constraints for all Switch models moving into 2023, which is interesting. And then there's been some scuttlebutt lately on all of the areas that in the web that had been
good word.
Scuttlebutt. I mean, yeah, it's
nice.
It's a good word. Sure.
Bringing back the classics.
I mean, I feel like a classic at this point, so sure. That's what you get on the Fork in Your Ear podcast. Classic verbiage. The scuttlebutt in the far corners of the net where I've been hearing all the Switch Pro rumors, is that the Switch Pro is effectively canceled because of the supply constraints.
Mm-hmm.
Which, given how the fact that the Switch continues to sell, you and your brother have one now, after
Mm-hmm.
holding out for what, 5 years now.
Right.
They're still producing amazing games for it. Yes, it's underpowered as hell, but it's funny. Like,
Well, yeah, it might be underpowered, but nothing coming out is really pushing it to a point where anything's unplayable.
sure. And like I was playing, you know, Mario Kart 8 and Super Mario Party, and those games look fucking phenomenal on the
Mm-hmm.
console. And Mario Kart's old as shit. It itself was a port of the Wii game or the Wii U
Right.
game, and it looks, apart from a 4K resolution, it looks every bit as 1080p and 60 FPS as the next thing, and looks all Pixar-y and shit. And Super Mario Party's the same thing. It looks super crisp and vibrant, and I'm just like, it's like I don't.
Definitely one of those instances where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right.
I think so.
Just kind of lean into it. And again, the games that are coming that are going to require the Switch Pro
Mhm.
are still in development.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wonder. It's a weird thing because, like, I wonder about games like the hypothetical next Xenoblade game, which I would like to be on the Pro, but
Mm-hmm.
probably isn't going to be. I wonder about the Metroid Prime 4. But at that same
Whatever the
token,
next Zelda is, yeah.
if I look at Metroid Dread, which is a technical showpiece for the system, it runs at 1080p, 60 frames a second with a crispness that only DLSS has been able to achieve so far. Watch a Digital Foundry thing on that, and they'll be like, it made their top technical showpiece of 2021. And it's a fucking Switch title, and they're like, well, if you build it right,
Right.
and you're using the type of graphics that play to the hardware's strengths, you can eke more stuff out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they even said, they're like, man, we hope they talk to the Prime team because like, damn. Metroid Dread is definitely, it's an incredible looking game. Like, it doesn't look like a Switch game. I've said that before. I'll say it again.
Right.
It's just so crisp and fluid and looks great and has amazing dynamic lighting and volumetric, like, fucking dust and shit.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck is this doing in this Nintendo game?
Right. Why is this playing on my pocket calculator? Right.
Dude, speaking of playing on a pocket calculator, so I just saw today, there's this guy I follow called Modern Vintage Gamer on YouTube, and he just ported the PlayStation 1 version of Tomb Raider to the Game Boy Advance.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fully playable.
Interesting.
And it's just like, what the fuck? And he was like, for comparison's sake, and he compared the specs, and it was like the GBA processor was running at like 16 hertz
Right.
or something, or 16 megahertz or something like that, and like the PS1 was like a 30 megahertz processor or something like that.
Right. And and I think that was built back in the PC days. That was built around the Pentium 33s, Pentium 66s.
Well, and I played the original 3 Tomb Raiders on PC. Of course, for me, it was a Mac, but it was a high-end Mac with a fucking 16 megabyte graphics card. I fucking can't even remember who the fuck made Mac graphics cards back in the day.
Probably Matrox.
It was somebody, but I remember it was all graphically accelerated and shit, to play those, cutting edge games. And I played it with fucking WASDA, fucking ridiculous. But it was like, it was a fucking tower PC as big as my fucking gaming rig behind this mic, and it's like, They fucking got it running on a fucking Game Boy. Ridiculous. Ridiculous, I say. But really cool. I should have shot a link in that. I saw it this morning on Twitter and I was like, what the fuck? There's a video. And it's just like,
Right.
come on. Now you're just showing the fuck off.
But again, it's like what can you do with that
Well,
platform that you can
Modern Vintage Gamer said it best. He's like, with the right amount of optimizations, you can achieve performance where there wasn't performance.
Right.
And it's just like, because the GVA is basically half the power of a PS1, essentially. It's what it was doing. And there it was playing. It's ridiculous. So yeah, there's stuff that happens in technology all the time. And yeah, I mean, like you said, it's good. Well, actually, that's another thing to speak of. Animal Crossing, not a showcase by any means, but it looks sharp and crisp and runs well and all that sort of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is there anything in you that's like, oh, they should have done this better graphically or whatever?
Would it have changed the gameplay? No. Like,
Yeah.
Would a ray traced Tom Nook piss me off any less? No.
Exactly.
So yeah, like I don't know. It just again, it amazes me, and this is something that we've had discussions about before. When you have when we get in the Apple Android debate, when you have control over your hardware, you can do a lot more with it, right? And this is the difference between Mac gaming and PC gaming,
Sure.
and console gaming.
Well,
right?
and
Consoles fixed hardware. You know what you get out of it. You can optimize the hell out of it. Whereas PCs and even to a certain extent Macs, for a spell there, you had to build for multiple iterations. So
sure. Well, and I don't know. I think times are definitely changing on the Mac as a gaming front thing. Obviously I've got to be the defender of the Mac here, but
of course.
Speaking of which, the trilogy of the latest Tomb Raider games is free right now on Epic's Game Store, which is Mac and PC. And right now, I can play all three of those Tomb Raiders on my M1 Mac that were not written for it, at near max settings with almost ray tracing capabilities, and it's pretty insane to see that stuff just from the fact that the M1 stuff is derived from mobile, and we've achieved that performance now on the Apple Silicon, and obviously that's the M1, and there's now much more powerful
and now
M1s
it's an enterprise class processor, like
yeah, because we've got the M1 Max, I think is the highest tier, being compared to 3080s. The 3090 just got announced by NVIDIA.
Right.
I think they said it was like 20% faster, more efficient, or whatever than the 3080. Which obviously people will be doubling over themselves to get a better GPU for whatever reason. And then what was the other thing? That the Intel Arc GPUs are now in the hands of customers. I've heard murmurings about them being both good and bad in unexpected ways.
Okay.
So verdict's still out on that. I haven't seen enough stuff to speak one way or another on it. But what I will speak on is the fact that Intel is claiming that their new H series chip that they just unveiled at CES, they claim that it beats the M1 Max processor by like some astronomical 40% at like everything.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like,
Are these Mac units?
I don't
Or are
believe
these...
you. I don't believe you, Intel. So we'll see. They're coming this spring, and I'm sure there'll be all kinds of appropriate benchmarks and stuff. But it's interesting to me that Intel has gone at this stuff so aggressively, because we had a new series last year and a new series this year, and to my knowledge, that's 2 years in a row where they've had an entirely new fleet, or at least revised fleet of CPUs. And the ones that came out last fall that did implement the same thing that ARM technology does, with a little big processor with the small subprocessor and the higher processor, that did improve their Intel chips by a lot. So it's interesting to me that they've pivoted so fucking hard, so fucking fast.
I don't think they had much choice.
No, they didn't have much fucking choice, because I'm sure, financially they can stave off the fucking chopped off leg for, at least another couple of years. But
sure,
it's interesting to me that they pivoted so fast and that they're ready to go with yet another refresh of their chipsets and stuff this year. Like they had the entire line from desktop to mobile, like ready to go. Well, ready in the spring, right? But the fact that they're able to move, and the fact that they're, able to produce them, is interesting to me as well. My guess is that perhaps Intel has been sitting on a huge stockpile of what's required to make the silicon.
Baby.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. Like, how else would they be able to make them?
Yeah, good question.
If fucking, I don't know, the production stuff doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like, the shipping problems make sense because you see it, you feel it every day.
Unless they were so close, but nothing that they could release, and got beat to the punch, which has happened before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like maybe they've had the ability to do this the entire time, but they didn't quite have it ready yet. They got scooped.
Speaking of scooped, the thing that you wanted me to bring up, now that I just remembered it, Intel just scooped back one of the senior chip architects from the Apple's M1 series. And then Microsoft poached another senior architect designer of the M1 chipset from Apple.
Very interesting, isn't it?
See, the Intel one makes the most sense because the guy they scooped actually worked at Intel prior to working on the A series chipsets, which obviously became the M1 chipsets. And him moving back to Intel after being with Apple for, I think it was 8 years, that makes sense because in the chip designing and making game, there's only a handful of companies you could go to. It's going to be like, okay, well, there's Apple, there's AMD, there's Qualcomm, there's, handful of other chip makers and whatnot. So it makes sense that would be within the shared pool, and especially a guy who had already been at Intel, him coming back to Intel. It's just interesting to me what they could have possibly offered him at Intel, other than, a familiar working environment and somehow more money than Apple could pay him.
Yeah, or, actual license to his own work.
Could be hard to say, And then, of course, the more curious thing is obviously that Microsoft now has, a very competent chip designer. We first started seeing this happen actually on the Xbox side, where they had in-house architects working with AMD for the last 2 generation of Xbox consoles.
Right.
That was the first time they really got interested in doing their own custom silicone, which makes sense from a gaming side to get that performance edge, which obviously has paid dividends so far this generation. But it's interesting that they now have a full, do everything kind of chipset designer, because we know Microsoft has an exclusive agreement with Qualcomm to make they had a name for it last year. They already announced it. I can't remember what it's called, but they have a name for their chip, whatever it's called. That was going to be powering the first generation of the ARM based
okay.
Windows computers.
Sure.
And so I guess it does make sense that they would grab a designer for that and bring it perhaps more in-house, perhaps seeing the success that they've had with the Xbox. And they're like, well, we have money. Why not?
Right.
Or
they might be trying to figure out another way of, the next whatever Xbox Series and M1. They could even be. They could be even doing it to bolster their cloud backend.
Yeah, could be. It's hard to say. We know
especially with the way the M1s do multi-threading.
True, and how Amazon's already has whole classes of servers that are not only M1 based but also their own custom ARM server chip.
Right.
That definitely could be part of the puzzle as well. I think the more interesting thing to me is how much longer is the old school CISC chips going to remain dominant in the PC field.
Oh, you mean the x86 architecture, basically?
Yes. I wonder, everybody's been going ARM. I've been talking about it for a long time now. I just wonder how much longer that's really genuinely gonna last.
Until we run out of the legacy devices that can't be easily retrofitted. That's the same answer I've been giving you this entire time whenever we talk about this. Like, it's great that everything current could run on it, but you're talking about legacy devices.
Yeah.
That, embedded architectures that you won't be able to just go, oh, okay, we'll just flash Windows 10 onto it and be done with it. So.
Yeah, because not everybody's going to have the same solution as the M1 had. I've said before, its secret magic sauce, now that I got down to the bottom of it, was that one of its cores could hot swap into a CISC chip, which is insane, because nobody does that. That's how it's able to play those Tomb Raider games, is at boot time it goes, okay, CISC, convert, okay, it's ARM now, switch back. It's an incredibly clever and smart solution to that, and unless that part is patented or whatever,
which could it likely will be,
it probably is, since it is Apple. It's going to be really interesting. Like, I just really want to know what everybody else's plan is. Like, what is Intel's ultimate plan? Because they're not developing anything in the ARM realm. They moved away from that a decade ago and sold all their shit off to Apple, actually, which was obviously a huge mistake. But it's also like, well, they are a foundry. So if they're not building them themselves, they'll fab them for everybody else.
Sure.
That's an easy solution for them. One could say that that's also a solution for AMD, but AMD has also already been, by their nature, a little tiny bit ARM at their core design anyway. So do they develop a hybrid chip, perhaps? Like, maybe just like on the die, there's you have your AMD 86 and then your AMD ARM chip, perhaps?
Right.
Because we know they're working on stuff, and they're working on already ARM-based GPUs for what, Samsung, is it? They're doing, I think so. Yeah, there's some big thing about that a couple years ago, but it's taken a long time for that to come to fruition with Radeon Mobile or some shit. And it's like, Yeah, I don't know. I'm just really curious to know how everybody's going to deal with that transition because, like,
Right.
Apple's solution was like, hey, they're here now, and they also do backwards compatibility, and we're
Right.
fucking they're going to be transitioned by the end of the year. Like, they've gone at it so fucking fast, like, with, like, fucking a rabid approach,
Mhm.
without damaging legacy apps.
Which that surprises me.
Yeah, especially because the first transition, I was around for the PowerPC to Intel transition,
Uh-huh.
and it was a rough one.
Very rough.
It definitely was smoother than chip transitions on Windows side, but it was a lot of backwards compatibility and translating, and
Right.
sometimes developers would have to issue a universal code patch, which would bloat the app size because it'd have to have
Yes.
double the code base.
Yep. That was the biggest issue with Windows is having to support everything.
I was talking about
like,
the Mac side.
Yeah. But I mean, Windows, like
Yeah.
you look at all the unoptimized stuff, and it's like that's why, like,
Yeah.
got to carry triple the code to operate on that ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah, it just and it blows my mind that a company like Microsoft doesn't have something like Apple does where they're translating the code in real time. You'd think a company like Microsoft, of all people, having the longest legacy support probably of anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they would have some code wizards that could do that shit.
No, because they don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, that's also true. You're
right.
You're right.
Same reason we have bad roads here in the on the 4 days it rains. It does not make sense to build for something that's not going to affect them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Time will tell. That is.
And speaking of time, we're sitting around 2.5 hours here.
We are.
Yeah.
My audio hijack has
actually has the right timer
normal
on it.
time, which is so funny. It says 2 hours 21 minutes, and it says 3 hours 30 minutes. My Logic.
Right.
I need to figure out why it says the wrong time.
It starts with an hour header.
Yeah. Why does it start an hour ahead? Like, what possible fucking benefit could that be?
No idea.
I have no idea either. Well,
but yeah. I'm ready to wrap and get some sleep here.
Oh yeah, you need to actually go to sleep. So do I, for that matter. What am I talking about?
Yes. 11:45.
Indeed. Well, this has been another episode of the For in Your Ear podcast. I'm your host, as always, author, podcaster, and gamer, Tim K. Trotter, whose voice is failing, but my body is on the rise. So I don't know.
And I am Nate Fu, the trusty sidekick that is trying to keep him from becoming a plague vector.
A plague vector, you say?
Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Until next time, Fork fam.
We out. Thank you for listening to a Dynamic Works production podcast. You can find our podcast at www.dynamicworksproductions.com. Feel free to email us at dynamicworks@mac.com.
Armado, the voice of Guybrush Threepwood, and you're listening to a Dynamic Works production podcast.
The Citadel, Arrival, is the first installment in a series of epic science fiction short stories reminiscent of the Pulp Fiction style. It's a fast-paced story that will take you through twists and turns that you will not expect, until they are thrust upon you with all the force, excitement, and chaos of a plasma cannon blast. The story follows Katarl, a nobody cog in the working wheels of a futuristic society run completely by Megacorp, a corporation that carefully runs and manages the lives of the people living under its sphere of power. On one of Katarl's few and far between days off from work, an outing he had hoped would be fun and relaxing turns into an explosive adventure that drags him kicking and screaming into situations and challenges that will make him question every aspect of his life. Watch this colorful tapestry unfurl as Katarl and his newfound allies find their way through this classic, yet oddly surprising tale of good and evil, where nothing is quite what it appears to be. That's The Citadel, A Rival by author Tim K. Trotter, available right now on Amazon Kindle Store and iTunes iBookstore for only $2.99. Okay, I have like 3 things to turn off now. Okay. It says it's recording. I'm stopping the session. It says it's saved, I believe. I'm checking that it's saved. It has a lovely thing that says it's 1.7 gigs, 16-bit AIFF. Yeah. It's got a really slick interface, I gotta say. The UI of this audio hijack is sexy. Yeah, I think I could have done the other way, but I honestly couldn't remember when I was trying to get it to work if I did 16-bit or if I did 24. Right. Hey. Okay, this is weird. Yeah, I hear myself out of my left ear. I wonder if this is... Well, I was thinking it was Logic, but it might be the new audio hijack. I've got that running now too. Because it's gonna drive me nuts hearing myself in only my left ear. No, it's on time. You know, like a millisecond response. Just sounds weird. Let me see. Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. Oh no. Wait, can I not hear you now? Hello? Uh-oh. Turning the mic or turning the system volume down apparently yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
I can hear you. So that's fucked. Turning the audio down mutes you, which it shouldn't. I don't know how to fix this. I just turn off. Okay, that's not good. Well, I just tried turning that off, and that turned you off. Let me see here. I mean, we have two options. We can either Google and try to figure it out right now, since it's a thing moving forward, or we can default to how we recorded it last time. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Mm. Yeah. Okay. Mac, Skype, audio only. Voice recording big. Sends two audio outputs. Order block. Headphones for recording to prevent echo and feedback loops. The default audio capture behavior. Maybe that's what it needs to do. Split audio into separate channels. Oh, okay. So I need to add a split. Split? No. How does that? So it goes. Okay, so I built this wrong. The way the app works, it's got like a little. It's got like program blocks with like lines going to each other. And it looks like I built this wrong. So I need to stop that. Hi. Okay, so no. I was just trying to get you back. When I turned it off, it turned my hearing you off for some reason. So let's kill this. Do new session. Delete that. New session. Application audio. Yes. Select an app. Skype. Advanced features include audio input. There we go. I don't want input because I'm recording that in the thing. So disclude that. Limit audio capture to what? No. I mean, you're in Skype, so that's weird. Okay. If we do that. Do this. And then let's do uncompressed. Channel, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. No. So if I hit record now. Okay.
Now record.
All right, I'm recording on audio hijack.
Okay.
So let me. Okay, can I add a meter to that? I think I can. Meters. Okay. So say something.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, that's so glorious. I can see you in real time and only you.
Aha. Yay.
I gotta be honest, this app is pretty fucking sexy. I just don't know how to use it.
Well, isn't that the case with everything?
Okay, well, I'm recording.
You didn't know how to. You didn't know how. Here we go. Now that you're recording me, here's your outtakes.
Right.
You didn't know how to use the last recorder before you got used to it. So
yeah, that's true.
Here we go again.
Okay, so
Mm-mm-mm.
Skype backup is going. I've been rolling the whole time on Logic.
I've been rolling the whole time on my. Yeah.
It's fine. Audio hijack is rolling.
How are the levels? Bing. Audio hijack just left.
Different than I'm accustomed to. I'm not entirely sure. Like it's an abstract. It's like a needle, like on a
like an old VU needle.
It's exactly like an old VU needle, but there's no. It's blank. There's nothing. There's no numbers. There's no. Here.
So it's like a Macintosh performance comparison chart.
Ho ho ho! Ha ha ha! Hee hee! I see what you did there. Oh, that's cool. I can put it up in the top menu bar as well. Okay, that's clever.
I was more talking about our levels in Logic. So are we hitting the right marks?
I mean, I don't get your levels in my Logic. I get my levels.
Okay.
So basically, what this is doing is it's performing the same function as the old call recorder, where it's recording the inbound audio only.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. Well, I want to give you a good signal that you can then mix.
As far as the Skype signal goes, you're crisp and clear, and no Skype shenanigans.
Okay, no distortion, no.
Yeah, and when you're talking, you're hitting -10 on my VU.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know if that's good or not. I mean, you sound normal to me.
So do these amps go to 11?
No, they go to -40 and then +2 and 4.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Well, many things are recording. The CPU load is super minimal.
Flux capacitor is fluxing.
Audio hijack's 1%. Logic's at 5. Skype's at 5.5.
Chrome is at 27.
Ugh. This is why I would never use Chrome, because it's terrible. Although I'm aware that Chrome recently got an M1 update, so I don't know. It might be pretty savvy on ARM architecture.
Yeah. Don't bet on it. And no dying on me mid-cast either. Please.
Yeah. Get the old spit can next to me here. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right, get the Discord running.
All right.
I moved a bunch of channels around, so now I'm scrolling needlessly.
Oh, I see. All right. Okay, my phone's muted. Watch is muted. Finally plugged my fridge that I always forget to plug back in until after the show is done. Finally got that on a Wi-Fi plug. So now I can just set a timer for podcast night, have it turn back on in 3 hours. That'd be nice. Okay, I think I'm as ready to go as I can over here. And your usual recording instruments are rolling.
Are doing their thing, yes.
Okay, very good. All right, well, let's let's
Ow, ow,
do
ow, 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 ow. Hold on.
cramp.
Went to adjust my headset, and apparently, in moving it, pulled a piece of hair out of my head.
Mm,
Not comfy.
yeah,
And this is why I wear hats, folks. I'm not wearing one today because I've been wearing one all day.
Well, my hair, I've got some real Doc Brown hair happening right now.
Yeah. I'm glad we didn't go. This is the week we're gonna video.
Oh God. Well, and I haven't gotten a camera yet, so
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to count us down and give us a vigorous cut in?
As vigorous as I can get.
All right.
And 3 and 2
and
1. Cut in.
Cut in.